Will. How are you?
Yeah, good. I'm here.
Yeah.
By the way, got my chair around backwards. Let's get that sorted.
Let's get that sorted. We've got an exciting evening in plans.
Mate, I've been looking forward to this for 3 years.
3 years.
I'm so excited. We're going to go through our Vintage Tasting Bundle.
Yeah, so today we're going to be taking you through our Vintage Tasting Bundle. Do you want to tell us a little bit about our vintage range? Well,
yeah. So if you haven't sort of seen before, we do a vintage every year, same time, using the same hives from Woodbury Wetlands and Leabridge Road in North London.
So North London.
We ferment them in pretty much exactly the same style. Well, yeah, exactly the same style, the same ABV. Sometimes the fermentations are a little bit longer depending on how the honey goes as well. But yeah, we do the same blend from the same hives, and we're just trying to capture that idea of that terroir that honey can have. So even looking at the 3D, you can see how the honey's changed over the years, and that's not just oxidization either, changing those colors lighter to darker. As you can see, 2019 is the lightest out of the three. The 18 was a little bit of a darker honey as well. So we get the honey each year. We ferment it with our house yeast up to about 8%. And then we put on top an aromatic red wine yeast, just to try to bump up that fruit.
Sure, and I guess what we're trying to bring out here is the fact that the bees, depending on what the bees are eating, you get different flavours coming out of the honey. And by using the same hives every year, you can see how the bees' forage has changed on the year after year.
It's where they forage, what flora they're going to. It also impacts, how the soil's going, how urbanisation is happening, especially with this London honey. But it's also, the weather conditions and how many. We talked about this a little while ago, but with the rise in urban beekeeping as well, there's not as much flora as people would think in an urban environment.
Yeah.
So you're kind of seeing all those sort of things impact the honey and thus impact the flavour of the mead.
Yeah, that's what's really cool is you get this kind of time capsule almost of what the bees have been up to that year. And obviously the mead changes a little bit in bottle over time.
It sits on the lees, so you get a little bit of that autolysis happening, and you're getting a little bit more of that yeast character. That's why we want to put a red wine yeast over the top too, something that's a little bit more long aging. That's also why we wax the bottles, just a little bit more protection against the oxygen. Got these sort of things I want to, sit back in the back of the cupboard for about 5 to 10 years and just really let them come to
cool. So should we do some tasting of the vintage?
Yeah, 100%.
So this is the first year we're doing a bundle of the 3 vintages. So the idea is we're doing this vertical tasting of how the honey and the mead has changed each year, which is pretty exciting. And you can get them on our website, obviously.
I'm so excited. I haven't opened a bottle of... Oh, we did
have a 2018 a little while ago.
Yeah, because we were getting a little bit too excited about doing this, that even before the other one was... before the 2020 was finished, we're like, all right, let's crack the other ones open and see how they're sitting and compare to what we were making this year as well. So it's kind of an excuse, really, just to open up a bottle and enjoy it. So the only thing about wax is that... it can be a little frustrating.
There you go.
There it is. Just take enough out of that so I can get
But that wax just we use the crown cap, so the wax just helps with that oxygen seal, especially for a long time.
You do it with wine bottles as well, where you put a cork on there and then you'll put a little bit of that shrink wrap over the top, and they say cork will give you 5 to 10 years depending on the quality of the cork. And then the wrapping will give you an extra 5 years on top of that.
I didn't realise there was actually a...
Yeah, I think it's a rule of thumb, right? You got bottles of wine there that are just 50 years old and just sat there, and as long as you sit them right, do you leave the corks wet?
You do have to leave the corks wet. Otherwise they start to rot.
Yeah.
So you lay the bottles down.
Yeah, and lay them down so they face a little bit towards the cork.
There we go. Right, so I'll pour this. I mean, you might as well just start with the opening the other 2 as well, Will, because I can see it's
not really good at it.
Might take a little while. So 2018, this is the first year we did it.
Yeah.
And I can't actually remember how this came about as a project, but I think it's something that I've wanted to do for a while.
Yeah, and that for me too, trying, we were sitting there talking about, how to show people that wine mead needs to be respected as a wine.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a beer based product, and I think it deserves to be in the wine category.
Just elevated a bit more. I mean, I think you start to get it with really good beers. So like, in terms of that respect for the product.
Especially when you're looking at something like mixed fermentation, it seems to get a lot more respect because it's got time in barrels, or it's got time with the time to settle out, and it's a little bit more wild and a bit more difficult to produce, and got a higher chance of wastage, and that's got the perception of what's the word I'm looking for, but not perception of value.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and that's kind of when we're playing with these honeys as well. These raw ingredients can be so expensive.
So it's really good to sort of respect it, and
and that means you need to push that value on as well.
Yeah. So this is the 2018.
Cool.
It's smelling good on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah, the honeys. It's one of these things like they change so much over time.
It's bloody good, isn't it? Oh,
that fruit character still there. It's also a little bit of the florality. I always have trouble saying florality.
The floral notes. That's good, isn't it?
But the carbonation's
what's the residual sweetness on this? Because it is sweet. There is a sort of sweet
and
note.
It's 10-18.
Right.
10-18, 10-17.
It's not super sweet, not cloyingly sweet, but
so you're looking at
notice of
what's that, about 30 grams of sugar per litre?
Yeah, something like that. That's
got
really
a really deep nose to it now. It's really also picked up a little bit of caramelization as well.
Well, I'm going to give this one a go, Will. See whether I'm any better than you. If I start bleeding, you'd have to...
Got that one there ready, at least. I see I've opened up these bottles, so as a little trick, I like to take the top off and the side off, and that just allows me to see where the difficult... Yeah, you're not going to get that.
No? No, it's a rubbish bottle, man.
Yeah, that's
bad tradesmen always blames his tools, isn't they?
But yeah, so what else are we doing this week, Tom?
All right, so we're all go. So we've got a really good sale on the website at the moment, which is going really well. It's 20% off at the moment, which is cool, and that's keeping us busy. And then what else are we doing? It feels like a very busy week.
Yeah, it's been a nice week. It's starting you can start to feel everything's starting to ramp up towards this sort of, the days are getting shorter, the work days are getting longer.
No, I know.
But yeah, the cool thing about this too is, it's picked up a little bit of these tropical notes as well. The alcohol is nice and big on the nose, but when it hits the palate, it's a lot more rounded. It's not as shocking. The sweetness, as you said, has picked up over the years.
Yeah.
But you can really feel that the alcohol is just sort of warming. It's not shocking. And I remember on this one, the very first time we pulled it off, I remember worrying about that, going like, oh, that high alcohol. I know we do it to age, but I also want it to be able to be drunk within a week or two of production, when it's super green, and then you let it age out and see how it changes. I quite like doing that with, let's say, Belgian beers and stuff, where I'll always, like Orval, I'll grab two and one I'll drink in 6 months and one I'll have now. And
you can see how those flavours kind of develop, which is really cool. 2019 then? 2019,
yeah.
God, what year is it? So this is the second one. So I think we were finding our stride with this one this year.
So the 2019, the honey came in, it was a lot lighter.
You can see that in the honey colour.
It had a bit more sort of herbaceous notes, a little bit more sort of like stone fruit and like blueberry, blackberry bushes, that sort of like dark green. Sort of.
Hedgerows is kind of one.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more savoury on the nose, I would say.
Yeah, it's not as much honey character as the 2018, and that could be due to just over time. We noticed that when we tasted the 2014 version of the Gosnells original last week, that the honey character over time really, really stays there and almost gets more prominent.
Yeah.
You really see the yeast character between the two are quite similar as well.
Yeah, so you can see they're definitely cousins, if not brothers and sisters.
there's a muskiness there, you know, and this is using really raw honey as well. So you're getting a lot of that.
It is lighter though, and that's from the honey. I mean, both in colour and on the nose and the palate.
Yeah, because they've got exactly the same residual sweetness.
Again, that's really nice. I would say slightly less. There's slightly less going on. You can see the
More
18
acid in that too.
Yeah, it's a bit more white wine notes than potentially.
I think that's what's happening, helping that sweetness level as well as that acid profile is really lifted up, and you're getting more of that sort of Sauvignon Blanc, that pear and apple sort of character, little slight tropical note that's in there as well. I might have a little bit more of that actually.
Yeah, that's
well, I think last time I preferred the 2018. 18, but
yeah, but I came down on this one actually because I think it's a bit more balanced. That acid kind of carries it through a little bit. Not the other one isn't balanced.
Yeah, no.
This one is something that I think
is a lot more complicated as well. I think
you want to sit there and unpick that one. This one I think is a little bit more. Well, that's nice. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And they're all 12.5%, so they do sneak up on you. As you'll probably.
12?
They're all 12%. I always say 12.5. I don't know why.
Just trying to get that extra 0.5 out.
I am, yeah. Oh, it's beautiful though.
So I'm just knocking some CO2 out just to...
And that's the thing, I think they are beautiful, right? They kind of give you a smile on your face and you can kind of really unpick a lot of flavours there.
It's super unique as well. You say it's like white wine, but so it's got some of those elements of white wine, but...
I think what I was saying is this one is more white winey than the previous one.
The mouthfeel is incredible, and like we talk about it all the time, but trying to create that mouthfeel in a especially a high ABV mead without tons of sweetness is really difficult.
It is difficult. And also not getting those off flavours you can often get with a higher ABV mead. So as the yeast gets stressed, and that's one of the reasons we use the two types of yeast.
Burny,
in order just that we can keep the yeast as happy as possible.
Yeah, and we also do it just to create, because they're two different. So our house yeast is really quite fruity and has all these nice undertones. And if you put the red wine yeast, which is usually used to capture the flavour of the berry and really push the fruit forward, when you've got the nice fruity yeast underneath, and then you put another one to cannibalise it, and then push those esters a little bit further, you're just building up this nice fruity background to this. Because this honey, as we said, is quite floral and not necessarily fruity or tropical, like we see in some of the other honeys for our mead of the month range.
And also worth saying that these aren't as sparkling as some of the other meads, right? So we've got to dial down that. We call it a pétillant, if my French is right.
It's spot on. So we don't want it to be taking away from that warming round feeling, and that I know you don't. But that mead-esque characteristic to it, I
do like mead, Will. Let's not...
No, but there's something about
there is a classic mead style which isn't necessary to mine.
Yeah, which is quite, that high burning alcohol and that sort of like thick, viscous, almost unpalatable amount of sweetness. And this to me is the height... No, the Boucher was a little bit sweeter, and I didn't mind that, but
you'd have a
tipple, right? You wouldn't sit there and drink a whole bottle, and you could, but you'd end up with gout. But it was, this is the maximum amount of sweetness that I'd like to do with a raw honey. Anyway, otherwise you're kind of losing that aspect, and you're not allowing those sort of things to come through. But when you're caramelizing honey, that's what you're going for. You're going for these sort of thick. Wintry sort of feels.
Right, I haven't tasted the 2020.
I haven't tasted it since day one. As in day one it came off the line. And we put the day one that it finished carbonating. And I was like, okay, there's the level, let's put it away. Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Cool. So this is the moment of truth, Will.
There's the nose.
There's the nose.
Oh, something else in there.
Yeah, there is something else.
It's like blueberries.
Yeah, something fruity.
It's always more fruity when it's young, but it's blueberry and like plum, peach.
You always say stone fruits.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Melon as well.
Oh yeah. So you can just taste it's younger, right? You can just taste the different, and this is such a cool set to do.
I quite like the talking about before with the high alcohols. I forgot how nice that is. Like and it's like it's almost like shocking the inside of your nostril hairs, just like give it a little bit of a burn. That's cool. So guys, I'm a little excited. I don't think I've tasted one cold yet.
Oh, it's so cool to do the three together.
So much softer as well. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you expect it's going to be a bit harsher, but actually it's really soft and rounded.
That's the softest out of the three.
Yeah.
Even 3 years later.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, okay. So
19, yeah.
It's the 18 and the 20 are probably closer to each other than the 19 and 20 are. I love that muskiness that comes through.
Oh, so that's delicious. So guys, if you've got one of our vintage sets, I think they're going out today or Monday?
Monday.
So they'll be with you very soon. So let us know which one you liked, what you thought, whether our tasting notes made any sense. It's always interesting. Everyone's got quite a different palate, so people pick out different things, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, we just like doing these little bits just to sort of show people that you can do it any sort of way, and
also that we're real.
Yeah, it's not some massive big factory mixing NGS with honey. Real people.
Will, I was told that I wasn't allowed to talk about the dark side of
I wasn't specifically calling anybody out. I just assume that there's a
there is somebody
mafia out there that does this.
The Mead Mafia. Anyway,